Call the regular meeting of October 13th of the City Council in order, please. Would you all please rise and recite the pledge with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For a roll call, Mr. Clark. Here. Mr. Hopkins. Here. Mrs. Nixon. She is absent. Ms. Powell.
Here.
Mr. Gross. Here. Ms. Conley.
Here.
Mr. Hall is here. Entertain a motion to excuse Mrs. Nixon.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to excuse Mrs. Nixon.
Second. Any discussion?
I wish her well on her clinical.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, sign no. Motion carries. Public comment. At this time, the council welcomes and encourages the public to speak during the public comment of the public hearing portion of this agenda. However, council policy is to hear the public comment, not to act on the public comment at this time. Concerns brought before the council during the public comment portion of the agenda will be referred to the city manager for action. If, after communication with the city manager, no resolution is reached, the concern will be elevated to the mayor and then eventually to the city council for action. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the council meeting that citizens are allowed to address the council. Please state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone at this time wishing to address this council? Mr. Salinas.
Ted Salinas, 8039 Love Drive, Cedar Springs. That's right off on Pine Lake. I'm a candidate for the Cedar Springs School Board, and I'm here to introduce myself tonight and then also to seek your input. If you travel around town, you've probably seen some signs that say Sabinas and Bowser, and there are 2 seats available, and she and I share many of the same goals and the same passions and the same ideas, things that we want to bring to the board. She was unable to be here tonight. She had to take her daughter to a gymnastics class, so she couldn't attend. Give you a little bit about her background, and I'll tell you a little bit about mine, and then ask you for some input. Misty is a longtime resident of Cedar Springs, has 4 children, 2 graduated from Cedar Springs, and 2 more in our district. She has a degree in marketing and sales, and an extensive background in nonprofit organizations. She's also currently a spokesman for the American Lung Association. My background is quite a bit different. I'm a longtime educator at Cedar Springs. My entire teaching career, 34 years, was spent here in Cedar Springs. Longtime coach at Cedar Springs, 37 years. I've lived here for 39. My 2 daughters, born, raised in Cedar Springs, now teachers in Cedar Springs. Maybe you've heard of them. One is called Mrs. K because we can't pronounce her last name, which is Kasperzik. And then, so her kindergarten class just call her Mrs. K. My other daughter, Mrs. Kaler, teaches 5th grade at Cedar Springs. And of course, their children now are going to Cedar Springs. My wife, now a retired teacher also, now volunteers in the Cedar Springs classrooms, in our daughter's classrooms as well as our grandchildren's classroom. So my wife always says, don't say this joke, but I do anyways, and when I always say that when I cut myself, I bleed Red Hawks. I don't take blood like others. So that's my background, and wanted to just introduce myself to the board, and then also seek a little bit of input. And realizing that if I get elected and if Misty get elected, we know that there's going to be times when issues that come to the school board will affect the city. And when there will be issues that the city and the city council will be dealing with, that will affect the school. And so what I was seeking your input, not tonight of course, but seeking your input that should we get elected, what can we do to develop, what can Misty and I do to develop that working relationship so that we don't step on toes and so that we keep a good working relationship. So that's my seeking of input. And if it doesn't violate a board policy, I'd like to just pass out a card, and it will give you, on the back side, it'll talk about some of our goals, but it also has some contact information. So if that doesn't violate any policies, then can I do it? Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
And thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other persons wishing to address the council at this time?
Can you sign the sheet?
Pardon?
Can you sign the sheet?
Go ahead.
Well, my name is Randy Van Dyne, 3050 Sir Charles in Rockford. I am the president of the Wet Flannel Festival. I'm here to say thank you to City Council, City Manager Womack, Tom with the DPW, Jason the Sheriff, Marty with the Fire Department, for your help in the successful Wet Flannel Festival. Without a team together, this doesn't happen. As each of you guys contribute to us, we take your advice, you guys help us out greatly. I've been here 2 years in this community. I've, as Ted said, people age red. I've come here for 50 years. My great-grandparents were here. This festival means a whole lot to me. This town means a whole lot to me. So it's a great privilege to work with you guys on this, and I look forward to this year being a better festival and moving on forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy, is there going to be a meeting possibly, like an after action report to find out what shortcomings we have basically between the two entities to fix for next year possibly?
I think that's something should be set up. As you know, my health issues for the last couple of weeks and that.
Yeah,
helpful.
understandable.
Yeah, I'll get with Mike, we'll set up a time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Just thank you for all the work that you did. It was wonderful, and may the next red flannel not almost kill you. Putting you in, when you say you believe red flannel, you don't have to prove it. So,
Well, thank you so much for supporting us early.
thank you.
It's been a great honor. Thanks.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for your help. Any other person wishing to address the council at this time? Mr. McBride?
Steve McBride, 139 North 7th Street, Cedar Springs. As you all probably know, I jump in a suit along with my cohorts, and every year to save a tradition that was long in this town. And we get pelted every year with questions about the fire engine. Where is she? What's the progress on it? What's going on with it? It's been 3 years. One person even said the Statue of Liberty was restored in less time. I'm not trying to be, it just put me on the spot. I don't think that I just don't think that I just say, I don't know, and I try to direct them to the right spot. But year by year, this fire engine known as Grandma is being forgotten. Every year that drags by, there's people that are forgetting about her. And that saddens me because I remember when I was a child and many people brought this up. Man, when I was a kid, I heard that horn going on. Now, as far as using it Red Flannel Day, this isn't about that. But it's just, there's a lot of people that have questions, that have the right to. A lot of them put their hard-earned money in those booths, to donate. And as far as, I don't know, as far as we know, she's in somewhere like in the Raiders of the Lost Ark where they put the Ark of the Covenant. I think a really good suggestion would be to have a quarterly update and a projected finish date of this project. Because like I said, every year that goes by, she's being forgotten. And it hurts me. It hurts people. It hurts the image of her. And it just needs to be addressed. I mean, there needs to be some motivation going on. And if it's a thing of money, I will go out with a tin can and get in a suit to raise money. I will cook food. I will do anything I can to help. I will help raise money if it's a money issue. I'll help with dabbing foreheads or encouraging or just anything. It's just that she's...
Yeah. Just so you know, it's what it is. This person that's redoing this is volunteering his time. And it's very meticulous work. Most restitutions take 5 years on an older vehicle. I know myself and what I'm doing right now. But it's not being forgotten. We're, like I had talked with Chief Fraser, I said, let's do it right, not hurry it.
Oh, yes, yes. And I understand that on this side it's not being forgotten.
Oh, no.
It's just what really matters is the people that sat on her lap for years and heard that siren is being forgotten. They need to be reassured what's going on, what the projected date is, and if it's a money problem, then we should...
Well, I think it's one time.
Yes.
He's doing a volunteer case, and we want him to do it right, so it's kind of hard to prod a volunteer to forget.
Well, no, it's not. These aren't my words.
Yeah,
These are people's that we get pelted every year at Red Flannel Day.
When they ask you, tell them it takes a long time to get fine wine, and that's where our outlet is.
Well, we need something closer to the people because I don't have time to address hundreds of people one at a time.
Go ahead.
The unfortunate thing, what a lot of people are remembering is the bright red and so forth that it had become. The people that have seen it in the past and understand it to be something like you said, who have had the opportunity to sit on its lap, a lot of that will be gone anyway because it's going to be restored like new. And so its image is going to change. It will be the same truck, but it will have the value that it was when it was first brand new that it came to this community.
Yeah, I understand. I had kind of reiterated that. There was another comment, it's looking at his grandma and nobody can sit on her lap. So, anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Any other person wishing to address the council? Come on.
2 minutes, Jerry. Mark Wallace, 64 South First. I just want to thank the council for all being available and accessible on Red Flannel Day. It was kind of neat to have you guys all taking the time period to be here. And I think the community senses and feels that we're back as one. And I think that's great and fantastic. And it's a lot to look forward to with all the other wonderful things that are happening in the community this time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Don Carter, 18 Grant. Since we're all talking about Red Flannel, I just want to...
Sorry, miss, could you state your name again?
I just want to say what a privilege it was to be Grand Marshal. I was overwhelmed. I had no idea how it was me personally. Like, Red Flannel Day has been, Rotary Chicken and book sales. This year I really got to be a part of the Red Flannel Festival, and I got to ride in the Red Flannel Festival and have my grandson here and go to the train exhibition and wow at all the vehicles, because he loves tractors and vehicles of all kinds and horses, and it was amazing. But when I was on the car coming down the streets, and after 15 years, all the people that have come through the library, people with teeth, people without teeth, people that are poor, people that are big, people that are small, people that are young, people that are old, and now I'm old. I couldn't believe it. They were reaching out like there was so much love coming this way, and I just felt like this open tube of love of just going out and having it come. It was like waves of it coming in. As I turned the corner to look, and I saw all the red, and I thought, like 1 hour ago, where did these people come from? Because in the morning I thought, it's not going to be as big as it's been in the past. And my goodness, when we turned the corner and I saw oceans of red, and I was waving this way and waving that way, and I couldn't keep up with people, and Dan would say, to the right, to the left, and I would try to see who was, and then after a while I was just going like that and just pulling the people. I just felt like pulling them into my heart, and it was like a big hug, like Michael said at Women's Club, like how does she do it? Like a big hug in the back of a moving vehicle. Anyway, he gave a great speech at Women's Club, by the way, too. I think it's, just saying how open and how everybody liked him, I can just say. I think that he has made a really good impression in the different places and different people that he's been with, having City Hall open and letting people register to vote and all that. But just, I have a different understanding because Red Flannel Day has impacted me in a way that I never dreamed it would, and I didn't see it coming, and I'm so glad that it did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to follow up on that since you butchered my joke.
State your name and address for the record.
Mike Womack, city manager. I actually live in the city of Walker at this moment, but I did speak with the Women's League, and the joke was, let's all be thankful for Donna Clark. She's the only person I've ever seen who attempted to hug a city from the back of a moving vehicle.
Amen. Yeah, that's a good description.
Thank you. Any other person wishing to address the council at this time? Hearing none. We have no public hearings. We entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. Mr. Clerk, second? Yes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Clark? Here. Mr. Hopkins? Here.
Are you guys saying yes or yes?
Didn't we do this?
No, this
Are we
is adopt the agenda.
Yes.
We're moving along. We're adopting the agenda.
Didn't we already say we were here?
I can't do two things at once. I'm sorry, I started us on
The agenda is here?
Yes.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda.
Yes.
Hearing no discussion, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon?
Yes.
Ms. Hall votes yes. Moving on.
It's here, too.
Correspondence agenda,
Consent agenda.
or the consent, excuse me. Any questions on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hopkins seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carried. Okay, moving on. Approval of checks paid prior to 39,179,39272 totaling $1,451,912.68.
Mr. Mayor, that was a consent agenda.
Yeah, I just wondered if the public wanted to hear that I'm going to paid out.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, you're welcome to read it if you'd like.
Thank you. No problem. We spent a lot of money this month, totaling $1,456,031.06. There's a lot of that repairs to the wastewater plant. Okay, moving on to discussion items. Number 7. Item A, recording council minutes and policy requested by Mrs. Powell.
Okay. I know we had kind of a goofy summer, all the changes and new employees and so forth, but when I looked to check at something in August on our recording, it wasn't there. And I don't know what happened, but it wasn't there, and apparently Mr. Womack and Tom got together and worked it out to get it uploaded. It was already uploaded, they
Yeah.
thought it was salvaged, because we do have that 10-day cloud limit.
Sure. Basically what happened was the videos were uploaded, but they had not been categorized. So they were available as individual videos, but they were not put into July videos, August videos, September videos.
Okay.
So they were available, but we've since, Mr. Stressman has done that, and he's shown me how to do it as well. So moving forward, it should not be an issue. But of course, Mrs. Powell, I'm always happy to hear if we're not up to your standards.
Well, we did get the 5-day business day, because we have the 10-day limit.
Sure.
And we don't want to wait till the 10th day to say, oh, geez, they're not there. Tom broke his leg, or, something happened. And so I did ask specifically that 2 people were able to do that, so now we have that.
Sure. Now that I know how to do it,
Okay.
although I asked Mr. Stressman to show me at least one more time,
Okay.
it shouldn't be a problem moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
thank you.
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Just also, maybe it's something going forward we would want to train maybe the clerk to do also?
Once,
Redundant systems or
sure.
whatever?
Once I get a hold of how to do it, I'll spread the knowledge as
No,
well. Yeah.
no rush,
Sure.
but going forward,
Thank you.
Well, there's staffing coming in.
I think the more the better. That's
You too.
just my.
Item B, Mr. Lomax, you want to speak to that?
Could I didn't know we were clearing this one yet, but I'd like to propose that you add under definitions D, which actually defines what a closed meeting is. Okay?
I'm sorry.
Huh?
And back on 15, that's why I have to go back to it. You have,
On discussion item A, recording council meeting policy.
it was 15, right? Wasn't
We're
it?
under
Item
7,
15?
discussion items, we're finishing A. 7A.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you gotta look at the agenda, not the...
Okay.
Mr. Gross, are you proposing that we add language to that?
Yes.
I think it may be appropriate for us to sit down and go over that, and we could discuss that for the next meeting.
Okay. Good
Are we
enough.
talking about for the
Oh.
policy?
Yes.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lomax, you want to speak to item B?
I will, Mr. Mayor, if you give me 1 second.
Sure.
As the public may or may not know, I'm also doing minutes today, so I apologize, I'll be a little slow. As we discussed previously at the workshop meeting, I am going to attempt to put together a mini seminar regarding the Open Meeting Act, Freedom of Information Act, and Robert's Rules of Order, and have that available to any of the committees or boards in the city as a refresher course, continuing education.
Would you like us to look at calendars for dates yet, or?
Oh, no, we're nowhere near that stage.
Okay.
It's just something I want to have you guys know about, and I'm hoping to have that maybe by January.
Okay, thank you. Item C. You care to speak to that?
Sure. Wastewater treatment plant, we have poured a lot of money into the USDA improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. And I think it would be appropriate for city council members to come out and tour the wastewater treatment plant so they could see what improvements have been made with the public's money, with the loan money that will be paid back by the public.
That will be next Friday at 10. So any council member that can attend, would you please contact the mayor?
The
Yes,
28th,
it's a Friday.
you're saying?
October 21st at 10 a.m.
It's a Friday. So get with the manager and
How long would it
you
go?
can go.
Well, if you know anything about Gary, he sure does like to talk. It's very informative. I'm sure he'd be willing to talk for as long or short as you would like. But I would guess maybe 45 minutes.
Okay, if you can, contact Mr. Lomax and moving on. Any other questions on that, item C? Moving on to item D, Mr. Lomax?
So the hotel feasibility study is something that we've been talking about. The American Hotel, and I guess this has come before council in the past when I was not here. The American Hotel is interested in building a hotel in the city. They've requested that the city
pay for a hotel feasibility study at approximately $7,000. I don't think it's appropriate at this time for the city to pay for that entire amount. So I do have a plan to maybe discuss the matter with various individuals and corporations within the city and the areas around the city to see if anybody might be willing to donate money to come close to the $7,000. And when I do have some donations, I'll come back to City Council, maybe to fund the rest of it, whatever that amount might be. The second part of that is that the American brand is having a meeting, this is their meeting, not ours, at the brewery on October 25th. And there is a notice out in my foyer telling people when and where it is. And I would reiterate that if there is a quorum of councilors or commission members, that they not discuss the matter or deliberate any matters at that meeting. But I'd like to hear some information, and again, I'll be visiting with Mickey Mouse on that date, so I will not be available.
I plan to attend.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, and my understanding is that they, at this point, are saying that they will reimburse us. If they build, is that how that works?
That's my understanding.
That's my understanding. Okay.
And they would only reimburse us for half.
Half, yes. And so if we can, I just feel the same that it's really a little unusual for the municipality to be paying for that. I know we said that before.
Yeah.
I know the store comes into the town, they pay for the study themselves.
Exactly. So if the businesses around can help do that, or, I don't know, I just feel like that we should not be.
Well, I should state that I have had contact with one individual who promised to donate some seed money to this, which is where the idea came from. I don't disagree with you, it's a little unusual, but some cities do fund the hotel feasibility study.
Is it because of our size?
I believe so, because I believe the city of Greenville does have an American, and I don't think they paid for a feasibility study. That's something I'm going to follow up on with their
There
city
are
manager.
several other ones on a Google search. There was, the city of,
The information they have.
Claremont, it was,
They get this,
There's a big information
Yeah.
on there. But it'd be great to have a hotel in town, yeah?
yeah,
It would be a plus for the community, but at the same token, we have to take into consideration where it's going to be. Okay? I know the person that's been talking to Mike has an interest in property out there. Right now, we do not have water and sewer service to that area. If that building is contingent upon it only being on that property,
Right.
we cannot fulfill the needs to provide the water and sewer for them at this point in time.
And then we've wasted our.
We have wasted the monies of getting to it because it is now failed and nothing will be reimbursed. So it's one of the things that has to be,
There's a lot of
is it going to be on one of the properties that's close to where the water main and sewer mains are? Or is it going to be on the opposite side of the road where we don't have it?
isn't it, is it in the 425?
the property that's been discussed with me is in the 425. It's the property immediately north of the, where the Big B Coffee is going to be put in, and south of what I think is a medical building.
Sure.
Yeah. There's
So it is on the west
I was gonna say, there's water over there.
On the west side, yes.
Maybe.
I was gonna say both sides.
The sewer stuff's gone over to the east side.
Let's come over.
Bigby Coffee. Tell me where Bigby Coffee's going again? I thought I knew.
To the water, next to the laundromat and,
Yes.
the strip mall, the Jeff's Pizza.
I thought they were coming in on the other side of 17 Mile.
No, they got scratched, yeah.
That was the state issue with
All
the
right.
lagoons.
No thanks.
drainage piece.
Okay,
Mr. Clark, the answer to that question is the Big B Coffee will be coming in south of where the hotel might be going in.
It's a very appropriate location.
okay.
Between Jeff and the line.
Any other discussion on, the feasibility study for American Inn for the manager? Thank you. Item E.
Mr. Stressman?
I can do it from here or up there.
Sure, that's good.
The city has been applying for the SAW grant for the last 3 years, and we finally have received it, or we will be receiving it. They're approved for it, which is $560,000. And it's a lot like the S2 grant that we once got, just a little more money. What it's going to do is televise pretty much the rest of the city sewer system, show us the deficiencies in the system, and come up with a capital improvement plan to address those deficiencies. The other part of that's on the wastewater side. The stormwater side is why we're on the agenda. That's $150,000. The wastewater side is fully funded, but the stormwater side, we have to come up with a 10% match. For some reason, they omitted the stormwater side, the DEQ did. Either omitted, forgot about it, we didn't qualify, whatever. But what I'm looking for tonight is your approval to appeal to the DEQ to see exactly what happened. Now, I did do some searching. We do, if I shuffle some things around in the budget, within the general fund, we will have the funds to cover the $15,000 match.
Thank you. Could you explain to the public here what SAW means?
SAW is storm. Anyway,
it's a fancy acronym. They're going to give us money to fix our sewer.
Exactly. But this is not a pipe in the ground or fix anything grant. This is just to pretty much televise the entire sewer system and figure out where the discrepancies are. The state has mandated that we have a capital improvement plan in place for the sewer system, and this will get us to that point. We will have that plan and be able to make those improvements as we go down the road.
It gives us a video of these sewers, footage on where our lost sewer connections are, possibly for the American Inn.
Actually, we already do have video of that line, but yeah, it was, like I said, it was like the SAW grant that we videoed this side of town. Came up with all where the water was coming in, the infiltration, and that's what prompted the project that we just did for a couple $1 million.
Great. Great.
Was there a video of the SAW? The SAW there?
You can watch them.
I got it here.
Any further discussions on the wastewater grant?
Mr. Clark has a question.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm trying to understand what the requirements will be for the city. Let's say that we're talking about the $560,000. Is the requirement that we do the study since we got the money, or that we get the money, we do the study, and then we have to do the repairs?
Well, we don't have, it's like the S2 grant, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read the entire thing. With the S2 grant, we had to do a certain percent of the repairs of the deficiencies that we found. Now, we elected to do all of them because of engineering costs and mobilization costs and stuff like that. It made sense to go with the USDA and do them all at the same time, where we can elect to just do a portion of it.
But we don't know what portion, and the cost is unknown at this point.
That question I can't answer for you right now, but I will see if I can get one.
By doing this stuff too, we'll make us, we'll have the paperwork to apply for some more S2 grants, correct? Am I right?
For USDA funding?
Grants or loans?
Yes.
Oh,
So it lays the groundwork for future grants and repairs.
Right, and we love the USDA.
They give us money. You okay?
They give us money, they loan us money.
loan. Well, both.
Right now, they just loan us. Are they giving us money
They
recently?
have.
They did.
For the,
The water treatment plant was built, wasn't it?
Pretty
With USDA rural water grant
It was. And
project?
Now
We
the
wouldn't have it if it wasn't for that program.
treatment plant is paid off. So that's a huge thing.
So it's time to go in debt again.
Yeah, no, that's what I.
All right. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see this solved. What's the consensus on this motion to,
Mr. Mayor, would you
Apply.
like the motion here, or would you
not
like it
yet,
in the
we'll
motion
do
section?
it in our, but everybody seems okay with that? To apply for the stormwater side.
If we, well, we've already been approved for the 560,000.
Correct. This is
If
a-
we find out that the actual amount for repairs is more than we want to take on, we give the job 560,000, we just don't accept the $560,000?
No,
That's two
I-
separate, you're talking two separate animals.
Well, I'm talking, first of all, 560 and then 150,000. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the state mandates that you have a capital improvement project. Now, if we don't take that $560,000, we're gonna have to pay for it ourselves. Because the state is requiring that to happen.
Now, I thought you said earlier, though, that most communities don't have one.
yeah.
There will be.
When,
Every community will be required to have a capital improvement plan.
what's our date?
currently have it.
What's our date, what's the date that they're giving us?
5-year?
I can't give you an exact date, I'd have to look it up.
If there's
But
they passed a bill that every community has to do
Let's have
this.
one.
And there's
We
a
are
time
gonna
frame.
get one free.
So it's
Did we pay
for one or apply for a grant?
Yep. And we
Yeah,
applied
almost
for the
free,
grant.
almost.
We got it.
You both, but.
And then the capital improvement plan on it, it doesn't give us an exact time frame, right? Like, it doesn't say you have to do this in a year or 2 years. Like,
if
you're
it's
saying,
like the S2 grant, it'll be a 2-year window,
Right.
that you would have to do a portion of a project, in order to not have to pay it back.
and
Now, I can't see where we would look $560,000 in the,
If we gotta have it, we better take it.
And to tell us
Exactly.
what we should focus on for fixing when we know we gotta fix stuff.
so we've already been approved for that amount. Now we're looking for, what I'm looking for is a motion, to appeal the stormwater side.
For the stormwater. So everybody okay with that? Understand that?
That's the $1,500, or $15,000.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was just going to clarify for Ms. Conway. It's $150,000 that we would receive, but we'd have to match 10%,
Which is the 15,000.
which is $15,000 that Mr. Stressman very laboriously went over the budget today and found most of the money.
So it's not 10% of the 500,000, just to clarify.
Correct.
Do we have that in action item?
No.
It is not in action item. I just listed it here as a possible motion.
Do you need it this month, or do you want it next month?
I think it would be appropriate to do it now, just so we can pursue it.
It's like you said, you might be able to get
That's
it in
fine, I
November.
just was trying to figure out if we're amending the agenda to move it to action item. Would you like a motion on here, Mr. Mayor, since this is the agenda we approved?
That's where we're at. We would have to approve that motion as item I when we get to it.
Well, then we'd have to amend the agenda.
We
Yes.
closed the agenda as presented, and that
So,
was
and it's
presented.
here's the motion under
It's a
the,
majority, though, we can amend it.
we can.
All right, let's,
I'm asking how you want to do it.
No, it has, I'm sorry, I think it has to be.
it's an action item. So we have to move it to action. It's already been approved. The agenda has been approved with it in there for a motion.
So-
We just need to move it down to action item versus discussion.
So, Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to amend the agenda. Everybody with me?
Second that?
To move the motion to pursue appeal of unawarded stormwater grant to action item
Aye.
I.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? What we're doing is amending the budget, or amending the agenda to reflect item I in action item for the stormwater grant. Everybody understand? Any discussion?
And what I was saying earlier was that I think, does this have to be all of us to amend the agenda at this point?
We are.
I don't know.
I want to say it's 3/4, but
Two-thirds.
2/3.
Let's look it up.
That's the Robert's Rules question.
Yeah, it's a Robert's Rule question, and I don't currently have a copy in front of me.
I don't either.
I'd like to think that it's not going to be a problem to pass.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Okay, any other discussion? To amend the agenda to add item I, action items,
So, and to clarify, to strike it, yes, or does it not matter?
we will act it.
I guess it doesn't matter, you're right.
Any other discussion? Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins? Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion passes to amend the agenda and add item I. Moving on. Okay, we are in F, election workers appointment by the election commission. Mr. Womack.
Thank you, sir. The election commission met earlier this week, and they chose Stacy Belting, Rebecca Newland, Kathy Bremer, Stacy Barnhill, Nancy Zufelt, Nancy Frazier, and Jill Owens to act as election inspectors for the upcoming election. This is just to notify council of that action.
Thank you very much.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, moving to G. Mr. Womack.
The city's hired a new treasurer/finance director. We're very excited for Ms. Darla Falcon to come down from Gladstone to join us. And her expected start date is October 24th.
Great. No discussion on that item. Moving on to H. Cedar Springs Halloween Spectacular, October 31. 3 to 9 p.m. Put on by the Chamber of Commerce in the downtown. Mr. Hopkins.
Actually, the event is 4:30 to 7.
Okay.
And we've got the Kent County Police Department there to help with manning some of the intersections to help crossing guards.
Great.
Was talking with the city manager about having the city be one of the stops that we put on the map for people to come get snacks or whatever, like a trick-or-treating place out, maybe use the bathrooms there.
Okay, and it's been requested that we, Manager Womack said that the staff city hall have it open for restroom and that's a discussion A, to have city hall open. I think it's an excellent idea.
It's a wonderful idea.
I was thinking way back when we originally put this on, I think Rose was wanting to be part of that.
Yeah, I volunteered to hand out treats, so it still stands.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. I'd be happy to have City Hall open for both bathrooms, warming up, and to pass out candy. Of course, if Ms. Powell would like to join me, she's always welcome. This Halloween spectacular was already approved earlier this year. That's why we're not voting on anything here. The two things I would like to discuss, though, is whether the city, not necessarily this year, but maybe in the future, would like to set city hours for trick-or-treating. And then the second one is community promotion money. I did identify $100 that was unallocated, and I would see about turning that $100 into candy of some kind to pass out while City Hall is open.
Anyone have a problem with that? I think it's an excellent idea. Just to be mindful of the rest of the council, if you do show up in there, you cannot discuss any business if we have more than a quorum.
Can we eat all the candy we want?
I was going to say, I'll even donate some candy, but I would be escorting a small box of macaroni and cheese with legs.
The city manager will allocate one piece of candy for Mr. Clark.
There you go. Put my name on it.
Last year, we had 1,000 came through my food shop. I don't know, we should have had it here.
Mr. Mayor, would the council like to talk about possibly setting trick-or-treating hours in the future?
I would.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
Let's discuss it.
I don't know about other communities, but a lot of them it's 8 o'clock and it's done, especially on a school night. Lights out, bye-bye.
And I'm a little surprised the spectacular is starting at 4:30. Like my son gets off the bus at like 4:10.
Well, it used to be 5 to 7. But 2 years ago, we had some mothers of younger children approached us about starting it earlier for the younger kids. So it's
Okay.
still ending at the same time, it's just starting earlier for the littler kids.
Chief Fraser, do you happen to recall what time possibly the trick or treaters put them out in your facility?
When we run out of candy.
Yeah. Well, look up Mr. Park.
Usually 6:30, 7 o'clock, it starts thinning out. Might have to remind the council too, we do not have a time change until a week or so after, so it would still be dark at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
7 o'clock, most kids, 7:30 at the very latest are done.
So, Mr. Kelly, or Charlie Kelly, is that, what's your opinion on the last hour?
You know, I haven't worked Halloween in a while, and my kids are kind of old, so I don't really have my guns.
Well, kind of right now, we tentatively have 4 to 7.
I just was listening to Donna, she says the library has a program, and it will probably end at 7 as well.
Well, on Mondays, we close at 6, so we stay open until 7.
Well, we're talking about setting trick-or-treating hours for when trick-or-treating would end for the city, whether it does or not. It just gives the police the authority possibly.
Mr. Mayor, there's a second part to this, and that is in other communities, when trick-or-treating is over, they sound off the tornado alarm, which I guess we could investigate doing. I guess I wasn't prepared for the city council to actually act on this at this time.
Okay.
It was just a discussion item I thought of for next year, since it's such a short period of time moving forward. I just want the community to be aware that this was a discussion that we might have, and that we may implement in the future.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, could we ask Mr. Kelly to maybe take a look or talk to your colleagues who serve in other communities or throughout the county and see what other communities are doing? As far as the time frame, or is there a policy or that kind of thing, so we could maybe,
Do
Put
it for
it in a
next
post
year.
or something.
yeah.
Everybody agree we can kind of gather facts and possibly
I would be
take
very,
care of this next
but I
year.
think Mr. Kelly might be a great vehicle for that.
Let's see what the schools are doing.
I know in previous, even though the chamber already grant is for the businesses, this is not for the residents, what they get. But I know even though we get them at 7, there's still kids out there after 7 going to trick or treating,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
How come it says 9 PM? I didn't get that.
I think that was the time that was originally on the application.
Oh, well, that was because when Sean filled out the paperwork, he put all the events together, because that was a request that was upon us to do all of our events all at
Right.
once. And so we did it all the way through what was then at the end of our insurance
Probably Chris Kringle.
premium. Chris Kringle wasn't on that one, yet
Oh,
past the renewal point.
So you're gonna advertise it as 7 o'clock? Or 8
That's the
o'clock?
way we do 4:30 to 7.
4:37.
Let's run with that this year, and next year we can look at establishing times. How's that?
Chief Rachel, this question.
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Mayor, might I address the council
You
and
may.
say Mr. Womack's idea about the siren? We no longer have a on-off switch for that.
Okay.
That would have to be set off by the county dispatch, and I do not know if they can set just ours off, or it's gonna be countywide, or the north sector, or the south sector.
Yeah, that's a.
That would take some research, and
I don't know.
I think, the kids themselves have pretty much monitored it, and again, 7:30, 95% of the children are home. So
Okay.
it would be an idea to investigate, but we do not have that capability anymore.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. I knew we did at one time, but we upgraded all the sirens. Mr. Scott?
There are 2 of us that are able to trigger the siren manually. Means doing it at the control box.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I just wanted to discuss this matter,
Sure.
because I know there's a lot of issues surrounding it, which are all being brought out right now, and I thank everybody for the discussion. So I thought maybe for next year.
Yes, absolutely, and that's kind of the consensus. We'll go
I
this year,
appreciate
and next year
the
we'll gather our facts, and if we have to, we'll make some adjustments. Any other discussions on Halloween trick-or-treating? Mr. Clark gets one piece of cake.
With my name on it. Hershey's Press.
We're giving 1 per hour. Now, part of done with you.
maybe for 2 hours.
Okay.
Here's the 2 hours, you can get 1 per hour.
Oh, okay, our next item, Mr. Womack's mingle with Chris Kringle, and we have, Mr. Kephart from the chamber, I believe.
Mr. Pepper?
Am I supposed to say something?
You
You got the floor.
You stepped up.
Oh, well, I was here to answer questions, I thought.
Oh.
We submitted the application in, it's the same things as last year, with the tree lighting, and the escort of Santa from the fire station down.
What's the date?
Third.
Or
The first Saturday or something.
The first Saturday? Third? Okay, that would be November 3rd.
December.
I thought I read, excuse me.
Christmas sneaks up on us earlier and earlier every year.
Any questions of Mr. Kephart? What time was that start?
10 a.m.
I'm glad I'm here.
A little late.
I can throw my voice there. Yeah,
Okay, 10.
But the actual tree lighting part,
obviously in the evening.
that part of it starts at, the lineup for the escort is at 4, and then Santa comes down through at 4:30, tree lighting about 1:45.
Usually.
Lori put-ish on that.
Sounds good, it was time for public, but we'll all iron that out when the time comes.
And then you'll talk to Mr. Kelly about if you need to close off the street and
He's
whatever.
already hired
Already
her.
done that. Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor, this will come back to you at next council for approval.
Correct, thank you. Any other discussions?
Thank you.
Okay, item J, Mr. Womack, you wish to speak to this?
Yeah, this was a new thing for me and Ms. Newland. We weren't 100% sure about the requirements. So it was originally a resolution to approve the transfer. And everything looks like it's in order for the transfer to go through. The only issue that we had was we didn't set a public hearing. So we will do that for the November council, and then we will have that for your approval at that time.
Okay, thank you. And for information, that is Brooks property for the future Brooks Nursing Facility.
Correct.
Assisted living on Solon Road. Thank you. Item K.
Mr. Mayor, as we discussed previously, I think this is a cumbersome policy. It was a good policy, I think, when it started, but it's one of those things I think it's time has come to be suspended, and we'll move forward with something that's just a little bit easier to work with. And the city council regularly decides not to follow policy 12 and to suspend its use on an individual basis. So I think moving forward, I would seek to have it suspended and maybe replaced with something that's just a little bit easier to work with. As we discussed previously, that we could replace it with the regular majority motion to table, or we could have a local policy, perhaps a minority vote to table, and that would allow council to control, moving things to the next agenda and have substantive discussion twice. And for the public's sake, the minority vote would be similar to what the Supreme Court does. It allows a minority number of the members to choose to do an action, so it doesn't require the majority vote. But that would only be to move it 1 month for substantive discussion. So I only have it here for discussion. I'd like to hear council's opinion, and then we could formulate perhaps something moving forward after that.
Go ahead, Ms. Hart.
I'd like to add that at the time the policy number 12 was made up, our format was different. At that time, we didn't have discussion items and action items. Linda switched that for us after the policy 12 thing to make it easier, because everything was just there.
Plus, there's been a lot of things put on the agenda that didn't need to have policy 12. It was listed in that category. So maybe it's time to take a look at it. Mr. Clark, do you have any discussion on that?
I agree that, the number of times that we've had to suspend the policy is awkward, to say the least. When we first did this with Van and Linda, we sat down together and we looked at, took a whole year of meetings, and we said, okay, here are all the things that we looked at, and we tried to categorize them, and then say, these are the things that at this point we think we need to have two discussions on. But we did say at that time that this needs to be, looked at periodically, because if it does get cumbersome like it appears to be at times, there are probably things that can be taken off of the list that we're going to look at twice, that we just don't have to. I guess I'm a little hesitant at this time to say, let's just go to the postponement of an item till we have another opportunity to look at it. It can be done. I'm kind of intrigued with the minority, what do you call that, Michael?
A minority vote.
A minority vote where a small group of us could actually put it off. It's not, tabling is done during a meeting.
Yeah,
Within
they're
the
on the
meeting.
table.
Postponement is next meeting or two meetings or whatever. So I'm willing to look at that, but I'm also thinking that it might be worthwhile looking at what we have right now with 5 categories that we try to look at twice, and maybe there are things there that we don't need to look at twice. So,
Maybe it could be decreased to 2 or 3.
yeah. Or some of the things that we listed previously, like grants. Really, we need to look at a grant twice. If we're going to apply for a grant, we don't need to look at that. It's still in there. But I was just looking through it again today, and I just think that we could simplify those items, or, maybe the minority vote would be just as effective.
What's the problem,
Well, I don't really understand the minority vote. Is it a minority vote, okay, if we have the 7 of us, and say 3 of us say, we want to hold this over till, or postpone this vote, or 2 of us, does it have to, what is the,
You set a number.
I guess what I would say is the city council would vote as a whole to pick a number of minority vote that would be required to postpone anything.
that sounds pretty good right there.
I would think like maybe to have Mr. Womack's draft up something of a policy that we can compare these two and see which one works the best for it. Or modify 12 or enact a new policy where we can waiver this. Mrs. Nixon has stated to me that we should remove the community events from policy 12 because
In our conversation today, Jerry, I looked at that. They're not in there.
Yeah.
We never included those.
we were getting.
Well, we did it, but they're not in the list that we made up originally.
So, having said all that, was everybody okay with that?
I would like a minority, but I'd like it to be, I'm the one that sat in the seat. Okay, none of the rest of you had to do that night. When the agenda was amended, and I guess knowing what I know about Robert's rules now, I could have stopped it at that point. Because I could have said no, although not to amend. But, there needs to be a mechanism that a major action can't be done without notice, not being on the agenda.
And added. And that was the whole reason for 12. And
I know it is, but I'm just saying, I would be okay with the minority, but I want like a super minority. Like it's going to need to be 1 or 2. Like any person should be able to say, we need to talk about this twice.
Veto power.
Well, we
Yeah.
can fine tune that once we see what Mr. Womack has to offer.
No, but if your question is in the language of drafting, I'm saying for me to feel comfortable with it,
Okay.
I would want a very small minority.
And I am sure that I will be having discussions with each and every one of you regarding this. Mr. Clark, Mr. Conway.
Yeah, I feel like 1. Yeah.
I don't